2026 FIFA World Cup had barely kicked off before one moment sent shockwaves through the entire footballing world. Not a stunning upset, not a last-minute winner, a penalty call, a missing graphic, and a silence from FIFA that lasted over 4 hours. The moment happened in the 14th minute of the Group B clash between Qatar and Switzerland at Levi's Stadium in San Francisco. Swiss midfielder Remo Freuler went down inside the box after a collision with Qatari goalkeeper Mahmoud Abu Nada. The penalty was awarded, Breel Embolo stepped up and slotted it home, and then came the chaos. Because the one thing that was supposed to make all of this clear, the semi-automated offside graphic, FIFA's most advanced refereeing technology, was nowhere to be seen. No lines, no animation, no confirmation. Just replays that, to millions of viewers at home, appeared to show Freuler in an offside position before he even took a single step inside that box. And the question that immediately flooded social media, broadcast studios, and football conversations everywhere was simple but devastating. If the technology was working, why didn't they show us? So what's really happening here, and what does this moment mean for the integrity of the biggest football tournament on the planet? If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, hit that subscribe button now, because stories like this are exactly why we're here. Let's go back to June 13, 2026, San Francisco Bay Area. Qatar versus Switzerland, Group B. It's the first match for both nations at this World Cup, and the stakes couldn't be higher. In the 14th minute, referee Saeed Martinez points to the spot after Qatari goalkeeper Mahmoud Abu Nada brings down Remo Freuler inside the penalty area. Clear contact, the foul isn't in question, but what is in question is where Freuler was standing just moments before that contact happened. Replays appeared to show Freuler had strayed offside before the challenge took place. Match commentators immediately flagged it, fans at home flagged it, Gary Neville flagged it, and yet the standard confirmation, the semi-automated offside animation that FIFA had been proudly promoting as one of the crown jewels of this tournament's technology, was nowhere to be seen. TV coverage did not show the usual 3D graphic, which confirms the decision of a potential offside call, and with replays inconclusive, the incident drew immediate and widespread criticism from fans and pundits alike. Embolo scored, Switzerland led 1-0, Qatar went on to equalize, and the match finished 1-1, but none of that really mattered to the story that was already dominating the internet. It wasn't until more than 4 hours after the incident that FIFA posted a statement on social media explaining what had happened. 4 hours, in the age of instant replays, instant reactions, and real-time broadcasting to hundreds of millions worldwide, FIFA waited 4 hours to give the world an explanation. That delay alone told you everything you needed to know about the pressure they were under. So what exactly did FIFA say when they finally broke their silence? The statement read, "A brief technical outage prevented the onside animation graphic from being generated ahead of the penalty awarded to Switzerland in the 14th minute. The issue was quickly resolved." In other words, the system crashed at the exact moment it was needed most, in the opening gaze of the most-watched sporting event on Earth. FIFA also released photos alongside the statement, images intended to show that both Freuler and Embolo were onside in the build-up to the penalty. VAR had to draw the offside lines to the players and on the pitch themselves manually rather than using the semi-automated system. Now here's where things get really interesting, because the explanation FIFA offered isn't necessarily dishonest. Technical failures happen, software glitches are real, but the timing, the silence, and the way this was handled have created a level of distrust that a 4-hour late press release simply cannot undo. FIFA-licensed referee Christina Unkel, speaking on ITV, explained that the semi-automated offside technology installed ahead of the World Cup would still have been used to verify that Freuler was onside. She said, "The technology is so advanced, it's going to be able to tell very accurately to the centimeter. That's reassuring. But the problem is that reassurance, no matter how technically accurate, doesn't replace transparency, and that's the word at the very heart of this entire controversy, transparency. And if you're finding this breakdown useful, please subscribe to the channel.
Every single video we make digs into the stories that actually matter in world football. Let's talk about the reaction, because the people who spoke up weren't just random fans on Twitter. These were some of the most respected voices in the sport. Former England defender Gary Neville heavily criticized FIFA's production, labeling the lack of transparency absolutely ridiculous. He compared the withholding of evidence to a dictatorship, saying, "They hold this evidence and don't show it for fans. It's ridiculous. Prove to us it's offside. Where's the transparency?" Former Arsenal striker Ian Wright echoed those sentiments, calling the missing visual confirmation a scandal given the technology available at this level. And here's the thing, these aren't people who don't understand football technology. These are analysts who have watched VAR evolve since it was first introduced. They know what the system is capable of, and that's precisely why their frustration resonated so deeply.
Uncle also clarified that once a VAR check is completed, FIFA has no legal obligation to show the footage verifying the decision, despite widespread fan demands for clarification. No obligation. That might be technically correct within FIFA's own rulebook, but in 2026, at a World Cup being broadcast to well over 1 billion people, no obligation is not the same thing as no responsibility. There is a reason fans want to see the graphic. There is a reason the semi-automated system was built in the first place, because football learned, the hard way, across many tournaments, that trust in refereeing decisions collapses when the evidence is hidden. And right now, that trust is sitting on very shaky ground. This matters so much more when you look at the history. FIFA pushed ahead with its semi-automated VAR offside technology precisely to speed up the process and make it more accurate. The system was first trialed in 2021 with the ambition to roll it out for major tournaments. The goal was to eliminate the controversy that came from manual placement of offside lines, a subjective process where no two VAR decisions could ever offer the same level of accuracy. In theory, it was a revolution, a system so precise that it could detect if a player's shoulder, armpit, or even a single toe was in an offside position, confirmed in seconds, displayed on screen for the world to see. And in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, that technology was actually delivered. For all its controversies, 2022 did at least show us the graphic. We could argue about whether the calls were right, we could debate millimeter decisions, but we saw them. Even in 2022, critics pointed out that the animation was only shown from one angle, the side of the main television camera, which could sometimes obscure the attacking player in tight calls. There were calls to improve the system, to show multiple angles, to make the confirmation more intuitive and immediate. And now, 4 years later, at the biggest World Cup in history, 48 nations, 3 host countries, the most ambitious tournament FIFA has ever organized, the system doesn't just have a flaw in how it's displayed, it crashed entirely and was silent for 4 hours. This is the bigger issue. Not whether Freuler was onside or offside by a centimeter. The bigger issue is what this silence does to fan confidence in every single VAR decision that follows. Because once people start doubting the technology, they start questioning everything. Think about what this World Cup means for the players involved in that match. Briel Embolo scores a penalty that gives Switzerland the lead in their opening World Cup game. It should be a moment of pure celebration, a striker doing exactly what strikers do. But instead, his goal becomes the center of a global controversy he had no control over. The final score was 1-1, with Qatar equalizing. Switzerland, expected to be one of the stronger Group B contenders, had to settle for a point. A different VAR outcome, or even just a clearer explanation in real time, might have meant a very different opening to their tournament campaign. And what about Qatar, the host nation of the 2022 World Cup, now competing as a guest team in 2026? They could have had that result taken from them by a decision their players, coaches, and fans couldn't even fully see or understand. For the fans in the stadium and the hundreds of millions watching at home, the experience of a World Cup is supposed to be electric. Goals are supposed to be moments of pure emotion. But when a goal arrives wrapped in confusion, hidden graphics, and a 4-hour silence from the governing body, the moment loses something. That atmosphere, that collective joy or heartbreak, it gets muddied.
And at a tournament this size, played across 3 nations, with fans traveling from every corner of the globe, that experience matters more than ever. Drop a comment below right now. Do you think VAR has improved World Cup football, or is it doing more harm than good? Let's hear it. So, where does all of this go from here? FIFA has issued their statement, they've released the photos, they've explained the technical failure, but that might be only the beginning of the conversation, not the end of it. Because this World Cup has 63 more matches to play, dozens more VAR decisions to make, and now there is a microscope on every single one of them that wasn't there before. Every penalty review, every offside check, every red card decision, they will all be watched with a level of scrutiny that has been heightened by what happened on June 13th in San Francisco. The best-case scenario from here is that FIFA resolves the technical issue completely, that the semi-automated system works perfectly for every remaining match, and that transparent, visible graphics accompany every significant decision. That should happen. That's what was promised. The more realistic concern is that some of the damage is already done. Fan trust, once shaken, doesn't reset overnight. The conversation about transparency in VAR decisions, about who sees what and when, is now a live debate at the heart of this tournament. Some analysts are already calling for FIFA to introduce a mandatory protocol requiring that VAR graphics be shown to broadcast audiences whenever a significant on-field decision is reviewed. Not optional, not subject to technical limitations, mandatory. Because in 2026, the system failed is not a good enough answer when a penalty decides a World Cup group stage result. What FIFA does next, whether they acknowledge the need for structural change or simply move on and hope the controversy fades, will say a lot about the organization's relationship with the fans that watch this sport. So, let's bring all of this together. In the 14th minute of Switzerland versus Qatar, just 2 days into the 2026 World Cup, a VAR penalty check was awarded, a goal was scored, and the semi-automated offside system that was supposed to confirm the decision for the world simply didn't work. No graphic, no animation, no immediate explanation. 4 hours later, FIFA posted a statement blaming a brief technical outage for the missing animation and released photos as evidence that both Freuler and Embolo were onside. Pundits weren't satisfied, fans weren't satisfied, and the word transparency became the defining term of the tournament's opening days. This isn't about whether Switzerland deserved that penalty. It isn't about whether Freuler was onside by a centimeter or two. It's about something much bigger. It's about whether the system that governs football's most important decisions can be trusted when it counts the most. And right now, that question doesn't have a clean answer. What do you think? Has FIFA handled this the right way, or does the game deserve better? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join a community that takes football seriously. We'll be breaking down every major moment of this World Cup, the goals, the controversies, the stories that go deeper than the headlines. This story is still developing, FIFA still has questions to answer, and 63 more matches still to play. As always, football never stays quiet for long. See you in the next one.